not going to spend a ton of time talking about this team because God knows the national media loves to talk about this organization that flat out hasn't been all that relevant for almost 20 years now. And I truly mean that. The Dallas Cowboys are the most overrated organization in North American professional sports. It's horrible. The amount of attention that they get because they draw ratings, the amount of coverage that they get because they draw ratings, in spite of the fact that more often than not every year they are a mediocre team spinning their wheels, and even that occasional year where they do have a really good season, they end up ultimately disappointing. And that's exactly what the MO of the Cowboys have been in recent years. Now, defensively, they're switching to a 4-3 this year. It's going to be curious to see how somebody like a DeMarcus Ware transitions from being a 3-4 outside linebacker to a 4-3 defensive end. Somebody like an Anthony Spencer, the same thing whenever he comes back from his injury. It's going to be curious to see how that all plays out. When you look at them defensively as a unit overall, you spent the high pick on Morris Claiborne last year. You traded up to get him. You need more out of him. You need him to play better than he did last year. You've got a stud like Sean Lee anchor in the middle of that defense at linebacker. You've got Carter on the outside. You've got some talent there on defense. And in Monty Kiffin's 4-3, I would expect this defense to be a little bit better in 2013. I really do. Offensively, this has become the identity of the Cowboys organization. You look at the running game. They need more out of the running game. They need something more consistent in the running game. They need DeMarco Murray to keep his ass healthy this year and be somebody that Tony Romo can rely upon in the running game, so that way Tony Romo isn't throwing for 5,000 yards, because I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, if Tony Romo is throwing for 5,000 yards again this year, and their leading rusher only has like 600 yards, the Cowboys are going to do the same exact crap they do most years. They tease you most of the year, and they end up disappointing at the end of the day. That's exactly it. They need DeMarco Murray in the running game. They need him to stay healthy. They need him to be productive. In terms of the passing game, they still have some nice weapons in the passing game. Des Bryant is a stud, and it seemed like he was a little more mature in 2012. They get that maturity out of him again in 2013. He's going to establish himself as the elite wide receiver that I've always felt he could be. Miles Austin is a nice compliment. You still got Jason Witten in the passing game, You have weapons for Tony Romo to throw to. But the problem is with this Cowboys organization, I'm not going to use this as an excuse to bash on Tony Romo in terms of him being a choke artist and everything else. That's well established, well documented, can't be refuted or argued, period. But this organization gave Tony Romo an insane amount of money in the offseason. And with doing that, I think they need to protect that investment. And they need to stop this incessant crap that Tony Romo was doing in 2012. Newsflash, a-hole. You're not Peyton Manning. Newsflash, a-hole. You're not Drew Brees. You're not Tom Brady. You're not Aaron Rodgers. So stop acting like it. Stop doing all these gyrations and all this other crap before the snap, because it's hurting the tempo of the offense. It's affecting your ability to move the ball at critical times because you're overthinking it. Tony Romo is a talented player. But where Tony Romo, and like many other players, starts to get into trouble is when they start thinking too much. Instead of reacting and going off of instinct and what they see, they try to anticipate too much, and they try to think too much, and they overanalyze. And you saw that at times in 2012 with Tony Romo especially, whether it be the late season choke job, the last game of the year against the Redskins, or a midseason game against the Baltimore Ravens, where they got down big because Romo was terrible, then he brings it back, and then when they got a chance, he's sitting there and doing all this gyration and crap. Why? You don't need to do that. What they need is they need DeMarco Murray to be healthy. They need Tony Romo to have the handoff more. They need more of a running game. They need to take a little bit of the pressure off of Tony Romo, because an elite quarterback he is not. If Romo could go through this year and pass for maybe 41 or 4,200 yards, establish that they can move the ball vertically down the field, and they get 11 or 1,200 rushing yards out of DeMarco Murray, along with what I feel will be a slightly improved Dallas Cowboy defense running that new cover 2-4-3 under Monty Kiffin, this is a Cowboys team that I think can win 10 games, maybe sneak up as high as 11, and actually be a little bit of a force in the NFC. I'm not going to call them a Super Bowl contender yet, because they clearly are not. But this could be a more positive season for the Cowboys, but it's all going to rely upon reining in Tony Romo, protecting your investment, and not letting him get too carried away with himself, making sure he doesn't overthink and overanalyze everything, and getting more of a running game. That's how you protect your investment. Take some of that pressure off of him, use the running game more, and you're going to have a more effective Cowboys team this year. I think they'll win the division. I don't think they'll go anywhere in the playoffs. But somebody's got to win the NFC East. And what the hell, this year, it might as well be the Dallas Cowboys.